special identity, the special place in Europe, the special place in the world, Basque country, and Bilbao as a heart of the Basque country. How come that a city of 400,000?
Yes, more or less, yes, yes.
From industrial, sleepy, not so interesting town became a global brand. It's not so easy, but it happened basically very fast. What's behind that?
Behind that, there is a lot of effort and a lot of projects, and I think that strong personality of the city and the leaders that we had some years ago. Bilbao as a city has a strong international brand, but it is due or because we were able to reinvent ourselves after a profound crisis that we live. And in this sense, we always say that we want to be in the forefront of the international arena, but without doubting our main aims that are to boost employment and to have a quality of life between our citizens and to reduce the inequalities that we have in the city.
Wow, these are all big and huge subjects. We will walk a little bit. We are now in Zagreb. You've been here on one conference about smart cities, and we are in front of one of the famous museums in Zagreb. Bilbao is worldly famous for the Guggenheim Museum, and the culture is very important in this definition of a global city. So how important is the identity, is the culture, and is this internationalization of culture within Bilbao?
Here maybe we have to headline that each city has its own identity and develops its own identity taking into account the different personality items. And in this sense, as you mentioned before, culture, it was one of our milestones because we built the Guggenheim Museum, and it was the starting point of an urban recovery, and we get to share the culture around all the city, and we get to recover and transform not only the culture but also the economical development, the employment, the citizens' well-being in general, I would say, yes.
Talking about employment and well-being of the citizens and inequalities that you've mentioned, which is very hard and difficult problem in Europe altogether, what were the measures that you took in Bilbao to go into the economic development? What are the main branches of this economic development, and what were the main challenges and obstacles to fight against inequality?
Okay, I think, for example, this morning we were speaking about smart cities strategy, and we always say that a smart city strategy, it is an urban governance model in which the technology is a driver for improve the quality of life for citizens. So it is not only to use the technology, so we have to use the technology taking into account that sometimes we have digital gaps, we have people with special needs, we have people with disabilities. So how we can use the technologies to maybe have an holistic approach of the public services to take into account all the needs of all people that is living in the city.
And the local government needs to be basically close to the citizen and understand the needs of its community, because what we see in Europe usually is that, you know, the political elite is somewhere far away from the citizens, and that also creates some kind of inequalities. What were the main challenges in Bilbao?
Here we always, and the mayor says always, that the municipalities are the closest institution to the citizens, and things happen in cities. So citizens want to solve their problems. They don't aware, or they don't mind which is the maximum responsible for that. In the Basque country, for example, we've got 3 different levels: the local level, the province level, and the regional level, and we try to work strong strongly between different institutional levels and also with the private sector, because the most important thing is to solve the problem that we have at the moment. It is not important which is the maximum responsible, so we need to work strongly hand by hand together to improve the situation and to solve the problems that we have.
We have won the Nobel Prize for cities. But we know it's not enough. And we're ready to take the leap.
Oriented towards the problems, but oriented towards ideas and innovations. That's, I think, also important in this concept of smart cities. What are the main projects and the main ideas that are being developed in Bilbao at the moment, from your perspective?
Okay, I think that we should different kind of projects, because some of them are done with infrastructures, as a high-speed train and so on. But if I have to choose some of them, I think that we have to speak about Zorotzaurre Island, or the Island of Knowledge. That is this very special space for the city, where we are going to build two urban technological parks, and in which we are working hard with universities and different companies and other public and private companies to create an ecosystem to be able to offer advanced services for other companies or industries that maybe are not now in the city located, but they are around the city. And also I have to maybe mention another intangible project, but that is really important for us, because it is a project that is led by the mayor, and it is Bilbao City of Values project, and it is a participatory project in which we have defined our unique chapter of values, and these are the values that the citizens of Bilbao have told us that they are necessary to take into account to develop the present and the future of the city.
En realidad, todas las personas somos iguales. Soñamos, amamos, nos divertimos, nos esforzamos, buscamos nuestro lugar en el mundo.
And I have to interrupt you here, because this is something that is really unique. We talk today in Europe about values and about our future. Mm-hmm. And there is no acknowledging or knowing where we can go without accepting the main values. So what are these values that the citizens of Bilbao detected that are important for them and their city and your city?
Yes, of course. At the beginning of the process, we started with a vademecum of 10 values, and after a participatory process, we ended with a chapter of 17 values. And we can find social justice at the center of these kind of values, or the respect of human rights, but around them we can also find equality between women and men, participation, creativity, health, that it has come a really important value for the last 2 years, and the number of values that appear in that chapter are 17, exactly the same number of the Sustainable Development Goals. And there is a strong join between the chapter and values and the Sustainable Development Goals.
Wow. From our perspective, very important thing I think to hear. I want to ask you about, you've mentioned health. We've been through the pandemics for 2 years, and as Europe we have this new recovery and resilience plan. Spain, because of the effect that pandemic had on Spain, has a huge chunk of the resources. Are you satisfied in Bilbao, and do you think in some other cities in Europe that cities and local communities should be more involved, or maybe, you know, Spain is a different scenario? You know, how are you satisfied, and how will you use maybe these resources?
I don't know, maybe I can explain how we are working in Bilbao, in Vizcaya, and in the Basque Country. And I think that it is very important to take into account the different levels of the region, because the local action and response needs to be articulated. And we work closely with the Basque government, because this helps us or brings us the possibility to have coherent policies aligned with the priorities of the European Union. And regarding to that, we've got a unique also on a strategic plan called Euskadi Next, and at municipal level we are working to take advantage of all the European recovery aids that are yes. About this, yes, that are running from the national level. We are living three transformation or challenges: the ecological transformation, the digital transformation, and we need social cohesion. And regarding to that, I do really believe that we have already projects, and we are ready to run them aligned with the priorities of the European Commission to get advantage of this situation.
Climate also. I need to ask you, the Biscay Bay, the Atlantic, every region has its own challenges concerning the climate. We in the Mediterranean, you there in the Atlantic. How do you plan this resilience towards our future?
Here again, working with other levels of institutions, and for us it is too important everything that is joined with the management of energy. I think that it is a topic that is trendy at a European level, and we have prepared different projects aligned with new sources of energy that we need to be more independent. And in other maybe smaller projects, we need to work hard in our own buildings to be more efficient. We need to introduce technologies for having a smarter mobility, and we need to work hard also with the citizenship, because we do really have hard work for doing, working together to improve the climate situation and the climate challenges that we have.
The word of today is security, or we can say, we can walk a little bit more, or insecurity. The history of the Basque Country was insecure one because of the ETA and everything that we know. Our future is also insecure for some other reasons which are not related to those things. How are you building this new identity?
I think that we need to look the future, but without losing our identity. We suffer civil wars, 2 world wars, several economical crises, the impact of terrorism, and also terrifying floods. And we came out with enthusiasm, with strong solidarity, and making a big effort. And I think that this is part of our identity. You have mentioned a lot our identity, and we need to also take them strongly and work hard together to look at the future with I don't know how do I say, with hopeness, because we have been able to reinvent ourselves again and again. So now we are ready to reinvent ourselves, and we are not afraid, maybe a little bit, but we are not to get stopped. We are continuing with our transformation because it is necessary in a global scale.
Euskadi, Europe. What is Euskadi in Europe in terms of what you give to our history, to our heritage, and how would you describe the spirit of your town and the region concerning all the challenges that we all have for our future?
I think that we are a region that we are able to have an own voice in Europe. And we want that space because we do really believe that working hand by hand and closely with other European regions, we are going to be able to take advantage of that different and diverse knowledge that we have in this enriching Europe, and that we are going to be stronger to tackle all the challenges that we have at the moment. So, as Euskadi, we want our own space in Europe.
Un lugar donde vivir, un lugar donde ser.